Hello, this is the Photographing the West podcast. If you're new here, I'm Kirby Flanagan, and I'm a professional nature and wildlife photographer. I host this podcast twice a month on the 15th and the 30th. If you're not new, welcome back. Today we're talking iPhone photography with professional fine art photographer and iPhone photography expert, Ryn Clarke. Welcome back, Ryn.
Hi, Kirby. Nice to see you again. I
Nice
don't
to
know if
see.
I'm the expert, but I've been
Of course you
certainly,
are.
huh?
Of course you are. You've been giving this talk all over the country, you said.
Well, yeah. I started doing this about 5 years ago when I had a bad fall and I ruptured my quad tendon and couldn't, go out and shoot with my big camera. So the only thing I had was my iPhone, and I started researching iPhone photography and what it was all about and the cameras and all the different camera models. And I realized that at the time, and then I updated this statistic, that there are about 95 million photos posted to Instagram a day, not to mention 350 million photos posted to Facebook. I thought that was unbelievable. And especially when you look at these social media sites and you see how horrible some of these photos are. So I thought to myself, I'm traveling so much anyway, why not try to combine my love of photography and my interest in iPhone photography and try to teach people how to use their iPhone correctly. And so that's how this whole iPhone photography started. And there you go. So when I was traveling, I would be, if I were a passenger in a car, the reason why you're seeing these two images on the screen right now is I started playing around with different apps. And one of the fun apps that I love is called Slow Shutter. And it allows you to obviously, slow down your shutter speed. It can create different fine art effects, as you can see here. And so that's what started me on this, because I was traveling so much. You had asked me to talk about a little about the advantages and disadvantages of iPhone photography. And obviously the advantages are that they are, it's a super small and light piece of equipment, and it's very convenient, and you can immediately share your images on social media. With your DSLR camera, you have to download it to your PC and then put it on your phone and blah, blah, blah. And it just gets, it's just a very long process. So those are some of the nice advantages. The disadvantages are that, when people see you taking pictures with your iPhone, you're immediately looked at as a lack of professionalism, I guess you might say. Also, the low picture quality is not that great yet. It's only about 12 megapixels, but it's fine for the social media posts. Even with the automated settings that they have in the cameras now, it's still limited to certain things you can do with it. There are certain lighting settings that are next to impossible to achieve. So, but I kind of go back and forth between my full frame and my iPhone. I always have them both with me, so why not use both?
Yeah, most people just have their iPhone with them, I think.
Yeah. Now, I don't know what kind of phone you have. I don't know many people that have a Samsung, but the difference between, it's amazing. The Samsung is pretty amazing camera, it looks like, at least on paper. The ultra wide angle lens is narrower than the iPhone. The ultra wide angle is for the Samsung is 12 megapixels. I mean, is 16 megapixels versus 12, which is a huge jump, I think. The Samsung's ultra wide angle camera has a lower aperture than the Apple's iPhone, meaning that the lens can open wider to absorb more light and provide more exposure. And both phones can shoot the 4K video up to 60 frames. I don't do videos, so that doesn't matter to me. So people, if you hear these statistics, you're probably saying, well, why don't you have a Samsung? Because it sounds like a much better camera, and it probably is. But I think the reason why I don't is because, and I might be one of many, we're in a family where we buy our phones as a family group, and everybody has an iPhone. And so when the iPhone, when your iPhone is up to be, revisited for a better model, everybody gets their model. So Samsung doesn't, I don't use their products, and I can't, really vouch for anything. Do you use Samsung at all, or do you know anything about the Samsung?
I've used Samsung in the past. I got tired of their battery problems, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago now, I guess. And I've got the iPhone 7 Plus, which does all I really want to do. But I think the newer ones probably take better pictures from what I've been reading.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Um, the Apple, I've got the 11 Pro Max, so I've got the camera with the 3 lenses on it, which is a fabulous camera. It has something that you don't have on your phone, is something called portrait effects, and I'll show you in a couple images from now what the portrait effects can do, and you might be upgrading after today. But the Max also gives you great HDR results. It resists lens flare, and it's got the ultra wide lens. The iPhone, just the plain iPhone 11, is cheaper, but you only have 2 lenses there. And as this chart says, the lower you go, the phone isn't, the iPhone 10 is a fabulous camera. The 10s Max is, I think that was the one I had before the 11. It has a larger screen, so that's nice, but it was also more money. And then you go down. The new one that's just come out, the iPhone SE, has the iPhone 8 body with the 11 processor, the iPhone 11 processor. It's got great video, they say, but no zoom and no Face ID. And if you don't need Face ID, that's not a big deal. So it's probably you're using Touch ID right now. And the iPhone 7, it says it's not good in low light. So what's nice about and I'll talk about this in a minute, the iPhone 11 has night mode, which is pretty astounding what it can do. So you might look into it, Kirby.
Okay. It's getting so
Okay.
the phones are more about the camera than they are about the phone, I guess.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, if you're really looking at your phone as your second camera, yeah, I'd say. So you asked, oh, let's see. I think you asked me about the resolution. I think the how large can you print something? I'm sure you've
Right.
had people. How large have you printed? Have you printed any iPhone photos before?
No.
No. I've gone as large as 16 by 20 with pretty
Really?
good results on my Epson 3880. And I think with the iPhone 11 Pro Max, you can possibly go to 14 by 21 even, they say, and that's at 200 ppi, pixels per inch. So it's gotten a lot better since
Yeah.
the 7th. So
That's pretty
something to think about.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So the also you had talked about what are some of the best subjects to shoot. And it's just not, you know, the iPhone, for me at least, is not just for social media. I love to use it as I'm traveling. Well, when we were all traveling, and it does a fabulous job on panoramas. This was taken in Death Valley at sunset, um, and it's just a fabulous tool to have. Uh, it does a beautiful job with flowers for macro, uh, and there is a new feature in the iPhone 11 that's called portrait mode that will allow you to create a bokeh, you know, so a shallow depth of field and give you some more of the ability to shine maybe a spotlight onto your photos. So when you're using the portrait mode, you get these different uh, it's called stage light. Let's see if I have a picture. Stage light, I'll show you in some images coming up. But you can create a black background, you can create a white background just within your iPhone. So
Wow.
it's pretty amazing. Landscapes, I use it a lot, and you know the picture on the left was just uh, you know, straight out of the iPhone, and the picture on the right was using some apps, you know, a texture app to put rain into the scene, and I probably, you know, went back on a little of the saturation and such, but um, you know, you can do a lot of stuff with this phone. Again, this was out in Death Valley, and the black and white capability using uh, the phone is tremendous. And so I took the black and white. I converted it to black and white, and but then I also took the same. I probably looked over my shoulder and took another scene and created more of an ethereal effect using some blues and you know, kind of tonal values that I thought uh, would lend itself to the image. And I really like how these cool colors came out.
Yeah, you're much more creative than most people who use their iPhones, I think.
Well, because it's like learning to play the piano. If you know the chords and the notes, then you know what you can do with them. And so that's what I teach people how to, you know, there are certain settings in your iPhone that you should always have on or always have off to get better pictures. This is part of my class I teach. Um, One of the things that is a pet peeve of mine is seeing pictures that are out of focus. And this is such an easy thing to fix when you're taking a picture with your iPhone. And every iPhone has this. All you need to do is determine where you want your picture in focus. And in this shot, it was of the glasses. And you hold your finger down on the glasses, and this yellow square opens up with a sun on the side of it. And up at the top, you see something called AEAF lock, and that is automatic exposure and automatic focus lock. So the phone is basically locked on the glasses, so it's going to be in focus no matter if you move to the left or you move to the right. So you can reposition your composition regardless. And that little sun, what that sun does is you can move your finger up and down on the sun, and you can make your picture brighter or darker, just like that. And a lot of people don't know this, but whenever I take a picture with my iPhone, I always, always, always use this to make sure that that particular subject is in focus. That and a crooked horizon line drives me crazy. So, and that's easily fixed too. Um, so I talked about the portrait mode in, I think The iPhone 10 has this, but you know, obviously the 11 does too. But what it does, it allows you. So when I was traveling a lot these past year or so, I'd be in airports and waiting for planes, and I got really bored, and so I started fooling around with this portrait mode, and this would. So I created a body of work with people on their iPhones in the airport using the portrait mode in black and white. So it's called stage light mono, which is I think really cool. The regular portrait mode can give you a very shallow depth of field, which is nice with people, but the stage light mono puts it in black and white and puts the spotlight on it, and I just think it's a very dramatic look, and a very you can do it with floral, you know, arrangements. It's very difficult to do. You can't use it with a landscape scene, for instance. But the camera basically looks for the eyes, I think, and focuses on the eyes, and that's how it creates this portrait mode image. And then
And so
a
that
couple.
that black and white photo, then that's right out of the camera with that setting. Is that right?
That's right out of the camera. Right out of the
Oh,
camera.
wow, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
it is. It really is. And then the opposite of that, that they added a couple months later, was called a high key mono, which a lot of people are doing high key now, where they, you know, take the color photograph and change it to black and white, but your background is now white. And again, that's another dramatic effect right out of the camera that you can do. And if you look at the image on the left here, where it's a picture of the phone itself,
Right.
what you're looking at is you just tap on the word portrait, and it gives you some options that you can scroll back and forth with your finger on. And so, you know, just playing around with that portrait mode is really a creative way to spend some downtime if you want. So I just thought that was when they came out with the high key mono, I thought that was really interesting. The other thing that they've added, which is unbelievable, I think. So in my phone, the 11, I don't know if they have it in the 10 or not, but in the 11 for sure. If you look in the on the left image, up at the upper left hand or upper right hand corner, there's a little F with a circle around it, and that stands for the f stop basically. And if you press that, and this is only in portrait mode, if you press that, it gives you the ability to change your depth of field. So what happens is, I don't have a shot of what the phone looks like or the screen looks like, but you will be given on the bottom of the screen the different, you know, it goes from, I think, f1.2 all the way up to f16. And so you have the ability in your phone to change the depth of field, which is pretty cool for the middle thing. I'm not saying these are great images either, but this is just to illustrate what you can do. The middle image is, you know, focuses on that Queen Anne's lace just coming up through the center. But if you really get too crazy with the depth of field, you begin on the right to lose the stems that they were growing from. So you basically have Queen Anne's lace floating in midair on the right there.
Yeah.
So it's you have to be careful with your uh, when you're playing around with that ability to. But I just think that's again another reason to upgrade your phone, because you're it's getting closer and closer to a camera, or you know, a regular camera. So
I was,
anyway,
I was going to
uh,
say, I see now why people aren't buying cameras anymore.
I know, and well, I think I read somewhere that the let's see here. Oh yeah, this is one more a couple more things that they've come out with. night mode, which is what I was referring to earlier. You can take a picture now in night mode, only on the 11 Pro, the 11 and the 11 Pro Max. It gives you a balanced exposure with shallow details. And what happens is you press this little, you've got this little icon on the top of your phone on the left with this red square around it. It says 3S, which means 3 seconds. So you're pointing your phone at this image of a building, and it's basically, it really is pitch black out. And it tells you that it's going to go into night mode, and it's going to take 3 seconds to take that picture and give it a balanced exposure. And down at the bottom of your phone, you'll see the rectangular red square right above the button, and it says auto 3 seconds. And again, it's giving you the ability to either up the seconds, and I think you can go as high as 10 seconds. And what it does is it takes these pictures and somehow puts them all together with you hand holding your iPhone. It's an amazing. I don't know how they do it. I'm not a technical geek here, so I can't explain the technology behind this, but it's pretty amazing to be able to take night pictures now.
So does it have built-in image stabilization then, or?
Well, what they said it has is there's optical image stabilization currently available for the wide lens of the iPhone 11, the 11 Pro, and the 11 Pro Max. And what's coming up, what I've read is that there's going to be something called sensor shift image stabilization that will come to 2 or 3 iPhone models in 2021. That'll be a game changer, I think, especially with this night mode. And it will also include a periscope lens that I think the Samsung already has. Maybe, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either.
Yeah. Anyway, it's amazing what's coming down the road. So this night mode again is I would, it's too bad you can't just rent an iPhone for the day and see what all these things can do before so you don't have to buy it. But it's pretty amazing what you can do with these.
Yeah, I guess so.
Now this is a picture by Austin Mann, who used his iPhone in the night mode way, and I think that is a beautiful image, and very creative, I think.
Yeah, I would say so.
I just wanted to throw that in to show people how what you can do with this and how it works in the night mode.
Yeah, I couldn't have told you that was taken by an iPhone. I would have guessed it was a DSLR.
No, and just look at the depth of field. I mean, I think it's beautiful. Now, granted, if you blew it up to 20 by 30, it would probably be pixelated or whatever, but I think it looks great on the screen. At least on my screen, it looks good.
Yeah, looks great on mine too.
Yeah. So, and then you had asked me to maybe go over some apps and whether you really need apps or not. I love using apps. Snapseed is one of my favorite apps. It's free, which is nice, and it gives you the ability to do a whole lot of different editing and adjustments on your images, obviously right within the camera. And it gives you, so the first thing you choose a photo out of your camera roll. You can immediately do some looks, which you see at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. If you tap on the word tools, a pop-up menu appears, which is in the middle. And this is where you have a chance to really get creative. You can do all the normal things like brightening and saturation and contrast and all those things. There's a curves ability, there's a white balance. You can crop your image here. You can, there's a healing brush, meaning you can take out an object out of your picture if you want. Although there are other apps that can do that a little better. What I like about this one is it gives you some really interesting choices in what you can do with portraits. So if you're doing a lot of portraits or weddings or just just family members, there's something called head pose, which, and this is going to sound weird, and it really looks weird when you do this. You can change the size of the pupils, so you can make them bigger or smaller. You can change the smile from a smile to a frown, and you can change the focal length, meaning you can, if you look on the right side, the image on the right side, there's that circle in the middle. You can move your finger up and down or left and right, and it moves the head back and forth or up and down. Now that's really bizarre.
Yeah.
There's also something called portrait, which is another choice in Snapseed, which you can change the skin color lighter or darker. You can smooth out the skin. So, if you're doing a beautiful portrait, and you can make the eyes brighter so you can give them more clarity. But I just thought this head pose it's pretty funny to show people and to have them do it right on their phone. They're astounded, really, that you can do that. The other thing that you can do in Snapseed is you can create double exposures. So this is where I took a mason jar and a picture of a flower, a daisy, and I wanted to put the daisy inside the mason jar. And there's a little icon in that menu here at the bottom called double exposure, and you just you choose your two photos. You have to pre-visualize what you want to do, but you choose your two photos from your camera roll, and you follow the directions, and that's what you can come up with, the flower in the bottle if you want. Granted, I had to do some little taking the bottle, outlining the bottle out of the gray background, but that's a whole nother lesson. But this gives you the ability to do a double exposure, and I think that's pretty cool. And you don't have to do it on your computer.
Yeah.
One of the other things at the end, once you do all this fancy stuff with your images, you can go to the upper the top of your image in Snapseed, and you see the red circle. If you tap on that, that's called View Edits, and that will show you, kind of like in Photoshop, in the middle image, it shows you all the different layers or all the different things or adjustments that you've made to this image. And say you want to go back and change the vignette to something that's a little brighter, or you want to get rid of it, then all you have to do is tap on that View Edit icon at the top of the phone, and the list of edits will come out, and tap on the word vignette, and you'll get a pop-out menu on the right there that you can either put it into the trash can, you can paint over it, or you can do more adjustments that you can see with the three sliders there, which you couldn't do before in Snapseed. So this is something new. So that's a nice feature. I love Snapseed. One of the other apps I like is something called Touch Retouch. And this is, I think it's one of the better ones for cloning out something you don't want in your image. So if you look at the left-hand picture, you'll see the red circle, and there's this yucky little thing on the hosta leaf, and I didn't want it there. So all you need to do is go into Touch Retouch, and you've got these choices down below. You can either clone it, you can do a line removal. So say you had some telephone wires or something, you can do an object removal. And all you do is take your finger and you just put it on that object you want to remove and move it. So I took it from top to bottom, and as you can see in the middle, you'll see that green line, and voila. And you hit the word go, and voila, it's gone. So it's pretty amazing. It's just like it's like Photoshop's clone tool, I guess you might say. Those of
Right.
you that are Photoshop junkies. So I do like that one. And then the one of the other ones I like is something called Mextures, which is I think it's $1.99 in the App Store. It gives you kind of almost 100 different gritty, grainy, grungy textures that you can play around with on the, as you can see on the left, light leaks, emulsion looking things. And so what you do is you choose one of those groups. Let's just say the grunge group, and what pops up is you have chosen one of your pictures, and on the bottom you've got a whole slew of different um, textures that you can choose from. And so let's just say you hit, oh, I don't know, Viva la Grunge, and that will say you really like that. You can play around with the opacity on the right hand side. There's a lever going up and down. And if you see the two in the middle, if you see the two interlocking circles, if you tap on that, that will bring you to the blending modes. So the blending modes are just like the ones in Photoshop. So it's just overlay, multiply, lighten, color dodging, darken, soft light, screen. So what happens is you can choose one of those blending modes, and again, choose the opacity, and play around with how that interacts with your image. I love using this one. You can create different formulas of your own. So say you've worked with, you're working on an image and you want to apply the same texture, the same look to maybe 10 other images. You can save that as a formula, name it and then save it, and it'll be saved in your formula in Mextures for the next time you want to use it. And then you just, once you're done, you just save it to your camera roll, and there you are. So this was, you've got a perfectly simple picture of Trillium, and you can, change it into, well, what would you call this? Kind of a, I don't know, but you can throw some textures on there, and kind of looks like a copper plate or something. Or you can take, a normal picture on the left here and just put one or two textures on, and you can also throw in some birds, cue the birds. In Touch Retouch, I could have retouched out these telephone wires, and then you wouldn't have had any of the wires in also. So these are different things that you can really have fun with, I think. There's
Yeah.
there's another one called Superimpose, and I think that's like $5 from the App Store. And this right image is basically 3 or 4 images put together, and that's how I created the fourth image. So I had a tree, I had my dog in the water, I had, I played around with those three things, and then I took the picture of the barn and then just superimposed all that onto the barn, and many different possibilities.
I think
Right?
Adobe should be. I think Adobe should be very nervous looking at this.
I know. Well, wait till you see this one. This one is amazing. This is called iColorama, and I think this is $5. It's like a mini Photoshop in your camera, in your iPhone. It can do everything but make dinner for you. I just think it's fabulous. And basically, I'm showing you on the left here. There's a drop-down menu that gives you the different choices. So say you tap on the word tone, another menu will pop up that gives you about 10 different choices for tone. And it goes on and on and on. You can mask in this program. This is what I created on the right here from this program. It's kind of weird looking, but I mean, you can create different. Like we were in France last year, and we were in this orchard, and it reminded me of a Van Gogh painting. And I thought, well, I wonder if I can bring this into iColorama and have it look like a Van Gogh painting. And basically, I think I kind of did. I'm not saying it's great, but these are you can change your images to paintings, to watercolors, to black and white drawings, to oh, it's an amazing program. You say you take a picture of a vase of flowers, just a plain vase of flowers, and you throw some color in there, and in the middle, I don't know if you can tell, but you can create what looks like watercolor paper, so it looks like it's printed on watercolor paper. You can see the texture of the paper, besides making it an abstract image. But then going from there, you can bring it into, again, into one of the different choices in iColorama and make, everybody makes all these kaleidoscopes. Well, you can easily make a kaleidoscope in iColorama. That's a no-brainer, no-brainer.
Huh.
So it's pretty amazing what you can do. Do you have any questions on those?
No, not really. I'm just been a long time since I looked at any of the apps on the iPhone, and they've obviously moved along in my absence, and pretty amazing what they can do with that in a
Yeah, you
phone.
can. Yeah. Um, some of the tools that I use are there's a lot of different attachable lenses that you can use. I use the Moment wide angle and fisheye lens. It's more expensive, but I think it's a better lens, it's better glass. The GorillaPod is kind of a standard. I think everybody's got a GorillaPod, but it can wrap around trees, it can do lots of different things. The HP Sprocket, I don't know if you've ever heard of the HP Sprocket, but when I was in Africa last year, a friend of mine, before I left, gave me this and said, you will never regret that you have this with you. And we were in a school, visiting a school, and the HP Sprocket is basically a printer, and it's about maybe 4x5 size, 4x6 size, and it basically acts on uh, it prints photos via Bluetooth. So what happens is it activates the ink that's trapped inside of this printer here, and there's crystals in the paper, and somehow it prints these unbelievable, pretty accurate color little prints, up to about 3 by 4.5 inches. And so what I did was I had a whole bunch of paper that I had brought with me and went around to all the kids in the school. Not all the kids in the school, they all wanted their picture taken, but as many as I could print, and they each got a picture of themselves, which was probably the most fun thing they've had in a long time. So it's great for travel, and I think it runs about $150, but it's worth it. And then the Camix Bluetooth is just a remote control that I use occasionally, when I want to take a picture and I don't want to touch the camera, and it's very light and it works. It's like magic. And that again works by Bluetooth.
How well do those add-on lenses work?
How long?
How well?
Oh, how well. The moment lens, I think I've gone through the oleo clip and I don't know, a couple other things. I think the moment lens is the best because you also have to buy their own case. So it's the case for your phone has to be a moment case. And so it's really a solid, secure attachment to your phone versus the kind that clip on and move. And I don't like those. I don't think they work very well. But I think these are great. You should try them sometime. They're pretty cool. That's after you get a new phone, though.
Getting a commission from Apple, are you, or what?
Oh, no. The other new thing that's out that everybody seems to be using, I guess, is called Insta360 Nano. And I think a lot of architects or designers or builders are using this. And what it does, it attaches to the top of your phone, and it's got a lens on the front and on the back of this piece of equipment, and it takes a 360-degree view image of what you're shooting. It somehow stitches them together. I don't know, again, the technology behind this. It's probably AI related, and it's pretty amazing now. And it's let's see, that runs about, I think, $300. So people that are in the architect or building world and need to get their pictures out on social media, I think this is a great tool for them. And then the other thing I just found out about, and I ordered and it came today. I don't know if you can see me, but it's called the Stylus Pen for iPhone. And so all these apps that I just talked about, we all have big fat fingers that kind of don't do well on our little tiny screen. So this Stylus Pen supposedly is supposed to be an amazing addition to using on your iPhone or your iPad. And so I'll come back later with a review, but it's only $19.99 and it works on, I think it works on, I don't know if it works on Bluetooth or not, but I'm anxious to start using it on the iColorama app. So that's basically my go-to apps and tools that I use.
Steve Jobs must be rolling over in his grave because he was against the stylus for sure.
Right.
So anything else you want to cover?
No, I think that's about it. I know that a lot of people, there is a Lightroom CC app that you can download. I don't use Lightroom normally, so I don't really use the Lightroom CC on the iPhone, but it's free unless you want to add on some stuff. But it would be a good post-processing software for your iPhone, I think. But other than that, I think, do you have any questions?
How much memory do you have on your iPhone? Do you remember? Do you remember?
No, I could probably look it up. I'm not a technical person. So let's see here.
I've got 32 gigabytes on mine, and I'm always running out of space with all the stuff I put on there, and so
You
I'm
have
just
how
wondering.
much?
32 gigs.
Okay, let's see. I do not know how much I have. Um, I don't know. I do have a
Okay.
lot. I do know that, but I do take my photos off off of my phone. I just don't like to keep them on there. They're in the iCloud already, and they're on in my photo library on my desktop computer. So why take up space on my iPhone? You must have, thousands of pictures. There are people
No,
that have thousands and thousands on their iPhone.
no, not that many. I don't know. It's a puzzle for me because it seems like a lot of memory, and I go back and delete stuff periodically, but when it makes me. But yeah. So you mentioned having them on your desktop or laptop. How do you transfer them, your photos?
I just use a USB port cable,
Oh, okay,
and it just goes onto my photo library on my PC,
okay.
and go from there. And then if I want to, work on something like on my composites, then, I'll take them out of my photo library and use them from there.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds easy enough. Do you have a Mac or do you have a
I have a Mac.
PC? Okay.
Mac.
That probably makes it a little easier.
Yeah. Do you
All
have a
right.
Mac?
No, I'm
No?
a confirmed PC user. Sorry.
Okay.
Well, thanks for all the great info. Uh, it's been a lot of fun, and I've learned lots of things anyway. And looks like I need to get with the program here.
Yeah, next
Uh,
time we talk, I hope you have a newer phone.
okay. So, show notes for this episode can be found at www.flanaganphotos.com. Flanagan Photos spelled Flanaganphotos. We'll be back on September 15th with a new episode, so tune in then. Bye for now, and look for us on YouTube if you haven't found that yet. So there's videos on YouTube for things like this, especially. And for those that aren't on YouTube, we'll have copies of as much as possible in the show notes as well. So we'll talk soon. Thanks again, Ryn. Great
Thanks, Kirby.
presentation.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.